know why the sound is not unmuting itself. I have to do it manually. I'm
Mm.
spoiled. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. And I am Sandy Shellis, and here is Jennifer Hines, my partner. And welcome back to our show. It's been a week, and well, we do our once a week show. It's great to see you,
Mhm.
Jen.
It's great to see you too, Sandy. I'm so excited to be here tonight with you all and to do this show with you. There's a lot going on in the house. So what's going on your end?
Oh, my end. Well, my end right now is 0 degrees. So it's zero
Oh,
degrees. It's going
is
down.
it?
But let me tell you, Susan, who should be here in the chat from Stamford, New York, it's literally going down to minus 15 F, minus 15
Really? Oh
Fahrenheit.
my
Yeah,
goodness, that's pretty darn cold.
that's Delaware County, New York. Yeah, she's going
Wow.
down. So it's cold. It's cold. We're getting the Arctic blast. And I went and looked at Fairbanks, and Fairbanks, Alaska is 8 degrees. So I'm zero.
Oh.
So what's it like where you are?
Well, actually, it got up, I think, to about almost 50 degrees today, which is
Holy
the
shit.
warmest it's been for a really long time. We still have snow on the ground from
Oh
like
my God.
December 21st. It was like
It's,
before Christmas, and we got slammed with snow, and that snow is still trying to melt. So it's been fairly cold here in
wow.
Colorado due to the polar vortex, polar amplification, all of that great stuff,
yeah.
makes it
Well,
really cold.
cold here too, but we
Yeah.
have a show tonight. Now, guys, um, we're before Jennifer does her, overview of everything, I have a video that you have to watch and pay attention to. I have been studying the Arctic situation, the ConocoPhillips videos I watched. Oh my God. I don't even want to tell you. So I did a little quick thing to start out so everyone can learn besides what we're going to read. And then we're going to take an activist bent. We're not going to read the Guardian. We're going to read the activist people, the ones that are fighting. And
Mhm.
we are also going to use comments that pros and cons that Jennifer and I shared that we got
Hmm.
from different articles. And we want to
Mhm.
see put our finger on the pulse of what people are thinking. So if you are all ready, are you guys all ready to watch the video? Yeah, I mean, all right. So we're gonna watch the video, and then Jen will come back, and Jen will give you the overview. All right, here we go.
that that was, you can see in in the footnotes there, the price deck was from the revenue sources book at $60 a barrel through the course of a project, which is a 30-year life. So that is going to, again, you have to make a prediction, you have to make a forecast, and that's what they used. Uh, the point, if you see that upper right, where you've got the chairman of the House Resources from Arizona and one from Arkansas, well, that's the Republican from Arkansas, but Mr. Gavalva is a strongly opposed to development in Alaska, which is kind of odd because New Mexico. There's only one other state in the union that has a higher dependency on oil production than Alaska, and that's New Mexico. Um, anyway, Gavalva is from Arizona. He's been very vocal opposing the project. This gives you a little bit of some of the things they're doing. They're comparing Willow's cumulative emissions over a 30-year life, equivalent to um, coal plants. It's really, there's no comparison. We're trying to push back on that. But anyway, major push by the opposition to extend that to 120 days. We didn't, obviously, uh, the opposition has made several vocal comments in the Washington Post and the New York Times and several publications that, they want Willow to die a death of 1,000 cuts. And what that means is they want delay of the project. We believe that the project that ConocoPhillips has put forward is the most modern, most sustainable, most environmental friendly project in North America, and it will produce needed oil for the nation with the least environmental impact of any projects in development. And so we're really looking forward to approval so we can get this project going this year, the 22-23 construction cycles. Like I said, it's estimated 6 years of construction. So first of all, is anticipated to be late 28, early 29. So it's a lot of activity, keep a lot of people busy, and it would be long-term sustainability and long-term stability for our oil infrastructure in Alaska, not just for jobs and for the movement of oil, but also for a stable revenue stream to the state, for all the other services that depend on that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit of a taste of what's going on. And of course, that was the ConocoPhillips representative who is telling us basically that, it's all about the money, honey. And
Money.
yep,
Yeah.
and I have graphics to show you guys some of the figures, and we're not going to do that deep of a dive, but all right, Jen, so do you want to
Mhm.
take away
Mhm.
where we're going?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
guys. So, guys, we're going to start out today with something from People versus Fossil Fuels, or as Antonio Guterres would say, fossil fools, which I think is more fitting. People versus Fossil Fuels Coalition condemns Biden administration's signaled approval of the Willow oil drilling project. So that is that hoser that we just saw. He
Yeah.
was talking about the Willow oil drilling project. It's so good.
Good word, hoser. He was talking about
Yeah.
all the pipelines.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're going over and we're going to cover an article from AP. Biden administration recommends major Alaska oil project.
All
Yay. So
right.
drill, baby, drill. And then something from the crucial years. Here we go. The crucial years. Melting Alaska wants to drill more oil. So here we go again. And this is actually from Bill McKibben, just came out. Right,
Whoops. That was by
right.
accident. Sorry, guys.
The accidental toilet flush, right?
Yeah.
The Biden administration has a big call to make on ludicrous Willow project. So again, illustrating this Willow project. And then something from Wild Earth Guardians. Federal appeals court rejects oil and gas drilling and fracking in northwest New Mexico's Greater Chaco region. So the court, when overturns Biden administration halts new drilling, gives new hope for protection for Navajo communities' culturally significant landscape. Then we're going to actually dive into carbon dioxide and what is happening with carbon dioxide. And really, this is more about the trends and the Keeling curve. So, this is from USA Facts, and we're going to cover a kind of nice moving graph that you can do a lot of analysis on just on the Keeling curve itself.
Yeah.
Atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration in parts per million. Doesn't that sound fascinating?
Yes. Fun, fun.
Fun. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then we're going to jump over to the Arctic News, and we have an article by Andrew Gilkson, Glickson,
Glickson. Yeah. Dr.
Glickson,
Glickson.
Dr. Glickson, the Global Climate Change Suicide Pact. And that, my dear, is where we're going to go
Okay.
today.
All
Yeah,
right. Now,
yeah.
Did I show the I did show the beginning. The veer off to the balloons. Did I show
No,
them?
no, not
Oh,
yet.
guys,
Not
guess
yet.
what we found? Oh, we found the balloons. We found the Chinese balloons. Let me show you the first one. We found it, guys.
Oh my
We
God.
found it. Yay.
Mm.
We found it.
Oh
All
my
right. We thought
gosh.
we could start with a laugh. So that's the
Yeah.
one. And then the second one is how the balloons are actually being employed. So look out if you live in Montana, look out for this guy. He's jumping out of a balloon.
God. Wild stuff.
I know, right? I thought I would start with just even though our show has absolutely nothing to do with the balloons because we're not going to do that. We just thought we'd start with a little funny. All right.
That's right.
So we are going to then start with these articles. I am getting us
Mm-hmm.
ready, and I'm going to do the first one. And
All
then
right.
what we're going to do is we're really kind of doing the activist stuff, like I said in the beginning, we're not reading The Guardian, we're reading what the activists are saying. And then we are going to take a look at the pros and cons and what people think. We would have, again, having our fingers on the trigger, on the temperature of what people are thinking of all this. So, people versus fossil fuels. This is the coalition. That's weird. Do you see that bouncing? The article is
No, that
bouncing.
yours is being very strange. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
see that
being
it
yeah.
is
I stopped
bouncing.
it. Was that wild?
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. So the People versus the Fossil Fuels Coalition condemns Biden's administration's signaled approval of the Willow oil drilling project, and People versus Fossil Fuels, which is a coalition of over 1,200 frontline climate justice and progressive organizations, strongly condemn the Biden administration for moving closer to that awful Willow oil
Mm.
drilling project, a major oil drilling operation proposed on Alaska's North Slope that has been condemned by climate activists and indigenous communities alike. The move would directly contradict recent administration moves to protect wilderness areas in Alaska from resource extraction and the Biden administration's own stated goals, climate goals, such as stopping Pebble Mine in Bristol Bay for environmental protection. So,
Mhm.
over its lifetime, this ConocoPhillips oil drilling plan would add over 250 metric tons of carbon into the atmosphere
Oh,
over the
God.
next 30 years. Yeah, Jennifer, it's a
Oh
seriously
my
messed
God.
up thing. Uh, in response, People versus Fossil Fuels released the following statement. So, global scientists have been absolutely clear. To avoid irresponsible climate devastation and immediate harm to frontline communities, we must end all new investment in fossil fuel projects. New investment. Any approval for a new fossil fuel project at this stage in the climate emergency, especially one at the scale of the Willow project, is locking us into an assured climate catastrophe.
Mm,
Yep. So,
mm.
in addition to accelerating irreversible climate change for the Arctic, and the rest of the world, this project would disproportionately affect the community of the Anukisak, a predominantly Inupiat village of 500 people who are already living through extreme pollution from existing oil projects and have already expressed their opposition to Willow. Or have they? Our communities have also been clear since the first day of Biden's presidency. Living up to his climate and environmental justice promises means using his presidential powers to reject all new fossil fuel projects and declare a climate emergency. We will not stand for more planet-killing fossil fuel project approvals. If Biden wants to retain the support of the people and his mandate to govern, he must take immediate steps to reject the Willow project and end the era of fossil fuels once and for all. ConocoPhillips' Willow project is seeking to drill in 5 locations in the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska. The final environmental impact statement released by the Biden administration's Interior today said that its preferred option is to allow 3 drilling locations with a 4th deferred, which essentially signals it would approve such a plan. You think? A final permitting decision will be issued in the next 30 days. So in addition to the further climate devastation this project would unleash, it would also pose serious harm to the native village of Nuiqsut on the North Slope. In 2021, the project was denied by an Alaskan court for failing to adequately take into account the impact it would have on the surrounding environment. No amount of precautions taken will make oil extraction safe for the local ecosystem and the global climate. In March of 2022, ConocoPhillips failed to adequately inform and protect the village of Nuiqsut. I don't know why I have a problem. Nuiqsut. After the CD1,
It's a hard thing to say. Yeah.
after the CD1, not to them, Alpine Drill Plant had a gas leak and evacuated their employees. Local community members recall instances of lightheadedness and illness during the time. However, ConocoPhillips continued to claim that there was nothing to worry about while the natural gas continued to leak into the air for days. In 2012, a Repsol drilling operation resulted in a blowout that spewed 40,000 gallons of drilling mud into the surrounding area and resulted in reports of respiratory ailments in locals. And that doesn't even talk about the animals. So the village would be completely encircled by development and probability of another hazardous accident like CD1 and Repsol occurring increases, right? And they would increase. So in the days leading up to the release of the final supplemental environmental impact statement, the native village of Nuiqsut released a letter to the Bureau of Land Management expressing their many concerns involving the project. We express our concerns, but BLM, Bureau of Land Management, continues to weaken our wave mitigation measures or fails to enforce them, and the impact of our daily life continues. We explain how the road will deflect caribou and make hunting more difficult, and BLM hears us asking for more road access. We say helicopters disturb the caribou, and BLM again hears us asking for more roads. We explain our distress about our air quality from routine activities, and we are confronted with accidents like Repsol and CD1. We point out that it is becoming harder for us to harvest subsistence food, and the Bureau of Land Management responds with more research and monitoring, but continued activity. We speak of the significance of our tradition and culture, and the BLM schedules meetings during whaling. We emphasize the importance of our life, our health, our safety, and we watch as ConocoPhillips employees are evacuated from CD1. We express concerns about our lack of access to information about the CD1 accident and our fundamental responsibility to protect the people of our village, and we are accused of causing panic and alarm during the blowout. People state that opposition to the endless expansion of oil development and the complete encirclement of our village, and they face repercussions. It is therefore with deep and persevering commitment to protecting our culture, health, and survival that we offer the following comments. The public and cooperating agency process has been deeply flawed. BLM must adequately address the impacts of uncontrolled gas released. BLM must consider an alternative that protects our subsistence and traditional way of life. And BLM must conduct more comprehensive analysis of impacts to our health and meaningful measures to protect the health of the Nuiqsut residents. Now, I thought that was really good. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because I really didn't want, and I will have this in the show notes. So if you want to join the movement, we will do that. I just wanted I really wanted to do it that way and show the activists. Now, this Yahoo News article, we're not going to read. But this was the one where there were many, many comments, and I thought Jennifer and I could each tag team with what you think people. Well, you have what I sent you, right? And then your edits and all that.
750 comments.
Yeah, but we're not going to read those. We've got the ones. So we thought, okay, so this was it was Yahoo News. So it's pretty run of the mill, Jennifer, Yahoo News,
I would say so, yeah.
Many, many people read that. And so we don't need to read it. But what we are going to do is just talk about, all right, the pros and the cons before we go off to the next article. And Jennifer, did you want to read the first con about this whole thing? And that was from Ben C.
So the pros and cons, I'm looking at the comments. I'm not sure I see the pros and the cons.
It's in your messages. You'll see them all where I sent it to you. So
is that right?
Yeah, you pull it up, and I can start then with Ben C while you pull up your messages where we sent it, I dropped it. So Ben C, who's on Twitter, he's got a Twitter site, and he is definitely he's an activist, and he said, do you want to read it then? Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'm with you. So the first con from Ben C on Twitter, scientists are desperately pointing to the need for economic system change actions to halt deforestation, cut chemical pesticides, and slash carbon emissions without causing an aerosol termination shock, all before 2025 to protect species and everyone from rapid mass extinction. There you go. You want me to read another one?
Yeah. I got some new sound effects.
You do?
You hear them? Can you hear it? You didn't hear it? Oh, I might have had it too low. Well, I did. I was playing with sound effects. I'll play it one more time. You guys hear it? Maybe you don't. I don't know. Something's weird going on with the. All right. Well, the sound effect didn't work. I don't know why. I set them up. Maybe you can hear. Well, wait, guys. Let me just. Do you hear this one?
Oh, yes.
That one you heard. All right. So it's what I set up on my wonderful Stream Deck. It's not working. Okay. All right. So that was Ben C, and I didn't pull up his Twitter. I did not, but he's wonderful. So if you have a chance to get to Ben C's Twitter feed, he's really wonderful. And then there was another con that so these are too fragile an environmental shield to be put to at such risk. When Biden took office, he canceled a number of Alaskan drilling and development contracts that had been legally bid on, and he won by the oil companies, but had been signed under the Trump presidency. Well, as justification for canceling these legal contracts, he said they were in two environmentally sensitive areas. So why did the money did the money give a change of heart? Did they hire Hunter as a board member?
My goodness.
I'm sorry. I thought it was funny. Did they hire? I mean, you have to
It's
laugh.
funny. It's
Yes,
funny.
it was. Did they hire him as a board member? Oh my God. All right, Jen, why don't you take
All
and
right.
guys, I hope you're having a good conversation about these. That's why we thought we would do that. So Jen, you take the first
Yeah.
pro.
Pro, we
Yep.
have to weigh the pulses and pluses and minuses. Drilling may affect the environment. However, this involves our national security. Russia and Saudi Arabia conspired to increase prices to choke America. Russia's war in Ukraine was an unexpected variable, while China and India are growing industrially exponentially. This is one reason for inflation. America's petroleum reserves have to be refilled. Opening up Alaska and other areas in the US for drilling sends a strong message to Saudi Arabia and Russia. That message is up yours.
And that's how
We have
people feel. Yeah.
we have oil and we have the reserves, and no two-bit countries like Saudi Arabia and Russia will be allowed to interfere with our economy.
Ooh,
Ooh,
that's the American way, and that's
that's the
somebody
American
who's
way.
definitely pro. I can't
Very
believe that
pro.
this doesn't that these don't. You heard that one?
Mhm.
I guess it's the new musical ones I put in. They're just not working. You heard? No, no. Oh well, I'll figure that out. I had some good ones, Jennifer. I got some new
Mm.
good ones. I was playing. So, guys in the chat, what do you think of the people that are pro that want these things? I want you to think about this for when we're finished, and maybe we could do a little,
Mhm.
conversing. So here's another one. All right. We will need more oil for at least the next 15 years. There is no getting around that unless we have another Great Depression. If we do not produce it, we will have to send our money outside the country to buy it. And the less oil that is produced on the planet, the higher the price we will need to pay for gasoline. Wait, hang on. Okay, to get for gasoline and diesel, jet fuel, and everything else made from oil. That will make inflation worse and make everyone a little poorer. A severe oil shortage will collapse the entire world economy as defaults spread and take down the banking system like almost happened in 2008. So if that happens, you will long for the good old days of global warming as you starve. Try living without using a bank. All
Yeah.
right. So tell me, guys, what do you think of that one? I mean, there were a couple of things I thought, well, it didn't sound all that awful, but it's people that, they're just going to say drill. I mean, the first pro was like, one of those, I would imagine, wearing the red hat going, yeah, 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 screw you. And, calling Saudi Arabia, what did they call him? Saudi Arabia insignificant. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. Two
Yeah.
big country like Saudi Arabia and Russia. Yeah.
Yeah. The two bits. All right.
Yeah.
So there was one more if you want
Sure.
take that
Mhm.
last pro.
Pro. Most, if not all, indigenous groups are represented by attorneys in these matters who are bought and paid for by the federal government, i.e., liberals. The money received by the attorneys is supposed to help indigenous people with common day-to-day legal issues such as child custody, divorce, legal issues such as child custody, divorce, wills, probates, property disputes, bankruptcy, etc. But that is not happening. Instead, the law firms in Alaska who allege they represent the indigenous people use these federal taxpayer funds to file lawsuits against the oil industry and block any development of any kind. It's been going on for at least 45 years that I know of. And most of the indigenous people don't know anything about the lawsuits, but support development of the North Slope because it brings them much wanted and needed good paying jobs.
Absolutely. That's what people want. They want jobs and they don't understand. And actually I
Mm.
was going to show you a slide if I can pull it up. Um let me pull up this slide. And I want to show you jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs. All right. So this slide just shows you, it shows you really the master development plan. And again, this was the Fairbanks meeting. I will have all of this in the show notes. And it shows you, they're trying to make it show you how small and insignificant this is compared to the national petroleum reserves that were actually back in Hoover's day. I think it was Herbert Hoover that did this. And the big thing here for me is the bolstering U.S. security provides jobs in Alaska and on the North Slope. And the 50% of federal royalties go to the National Petroleum Reserve's Impact Mitigation Grant. So there's money put aside. They want to talk about 23 million acres that are there, but they also say, Jennifer, that they're only going to be affecting what is it, 400 like 478, something like that, acres, and that's with all of the roads, pipelines, and everything else. But you have to also think about the fact that they have to develop everything. They have to feed people. It's not like just doing a fracking well or an oil well in a like New Mexico where everything's right there. They've got to build every kind of thing, every kind of service for the people that are going to work up there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
let me
totally.
see. I think I got another one that. All right, and this one is really funny. A leader in environmental stewardship with Alaska. Now look at the picture with the caribou and look at that behind. Look at that refinery behind there.
That's atrocious. Oh
It
God.
is. And they say they have decades of ecosystem based scientific monitoring, science informed engineering, new technology for environmental data and monitoring, extensive baseline data, ensure integrity of mitigation plans, and address stakeholder concerns. And they have adopted the Paris aligned climate risk framework. But
Hmm.
Jennifer, the
Hmm.
funniest thing is these things. These things I have to show you. But unfortunately, it's behind us. So let me set this up. The pictures behind us. These are things that they have that ConocoPhillips is going to use to refreeze the
Oh, oh, those things. Yes. No, let's take a look. They're going to refreeze the permafrost
Yep.
so they can drill baby drill because they can't drill baby drill
Yep.
because the permafrost is permamush. So they're
Yep.
like, well, I want to drill baby drill, but I need to refreeze the permafrost. So they're like sinking freezing tubes into
That's
the
what these are.
permafrost to refreeze it.
Look at them behind us.
It's
That's what
ridiculous.
they
Drill
are.
baby drill. Here, let me get
Yeah.
out of the way. There you go,
Those,
guys.
yep, they have, so their equipment doesn't fall and smush, so they have to refreeze those areas. It is
Jeez.
ludicrous. It is insanity. It's
It
like it's
is. It is
crazy.
the height of human hubris to try. I mean, they may be successful. I mean, these things are designed for purpose, right? They'll probably be able to refreeze the permafrost like
Around.
right
Yeah.
around them,
Yeah.
and they can go ahead and set their platform up and drill the hell out of it. But this is the lengths they have to go through now because the permafrost is not permafrost anymore.
No. And it just seemed absurd to me when I learned about these things. So
Way.
yeah, absurdity, but we're going to go back to the Arctic Ocean. I don't want to see these things
Mm.
behind us. We're going to go back to the beautiful Arctic, and we are going to move on. But that
Okay.
definitely, yeah, we're going to move on. And Jennifer, I think what we're going to do is take a look at the crucial years, but I don't know. Do you want to read? Oh no, this is the Bill McKibben one. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
giving this. Yeah, this is yours. This is yours,
Okay.
baby.
Okay, let me just blow this up ever so slightly. There we go. So this is the latest from Bill McKibben in his blog, Bill McKibben at substack.com. Melting Alaska wants to drill more oil. The Biden administration has a big call to make on the ludicrous Willow project. If you wanted an example of the reason we're still losing the fight to slow Earth's heating, the proposed Willow Oil project in Alaska should suffice. This should be the no-brainer of all time. The ConocoPhillips plan for a massive new oil field development flies in the face of all climate science and reason. It would be producing huge quantities of oil for at least the next 3 decades, long past the point when scientists say we must stop using it, and long past the point when, with a serious effort to electrify transportation, we'd need it. And it would do so in a place, Alaska, already warming faster than almost any place on the planet. Warming so fast that taxpayers are already having to pony up huge sums of money to relocate villages inland, coastal villages inland. Emissions from the Willow project's oil would cause $19.8 billion in climate damages. Oh, that's a good deal. $20 billion in climate damage.
I'm
It would
sorry.
generate 3.4 billion in federal tax revenue, which is a lot less. Oh boy. How insane is this project? ConocoPhillips has said it may need to freeze the rapidly thawing ground with massive chillers, which we looked at,
Just insane.
in order to drill for the oil that will drive that melt even higher. Quote, where necessary, we use cooling devices, thermosiphons, that can chill the ground high enough in the winter to help it remain frozen through the summer. ConocoPhillips Alaska spokeswoman Natalie Lohman explains a sentence that historians, assuming there are some, will someday parse in an effort to understand exactly how off track a civilization can go. It would be an enormous step backwards for the US all the way back to 2015 when the Obama Biden administration rejected the Keystone XL pipeline. The president said, America is now a global leader when it comes to taking serious action to fight climate change. Frankly, approving this project would have undercut that global leadership. End quote. That's far truer now. Back then, we hadn't even signed the Paris Climate Accords. Back then, we hadn't even had the massive heat waves in the Pacific Northwest,
No.
nor the massive fires in California, nor the massive floods in Pakistan. Back
Mm.
then, Sudan hadn't suffered through 5 straight dry, rainy seasons. Back then, large swaths of Alaska's waterways had not yet turned orange from a warming driven plankton bloom that threatens local drinking water
Oh.
supplies. If you want numbers and analysis from the Center for American Progress finds, the carbon emissions expected from Willow would negate the estimated 129 MMT of carbon emissions avoided by reaching the president's goal of deploying 30 gigawatts of offshore wind energy by 2030. Wow. And permit 25 gigawatts of solar onshore wind and geothermal energy on public lands by 2025. That's a lot of gobbledygook, right? Put another way, good, thank you. I'm glad they did because I was confused. Put another way, allowing the Willow project to proceed would result in double the carbon pollution that all renewables that all renewable progress on public lands and waters would save by 2030. So it just basically wipes out any savings we did try to get.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. President Biden has done good work for the climate, from the Inflation Reduction Act to the recent decision to protect Alaska's Tungus National Forest. But the physics doesn't grade on a curve. When the Interior Secretary Deb Haaland makes a call on this project, she'll be deciding whether to put a truly massive slug of carbon dioxide into the air, CO2 that will outlive her and the rest of us. She'll come under huge pressure, as always. Alaska's politicians, Democratic and Republican, want more drilling. The power structure is so pervasive that the Alaska public media, when it ran the story on the fight, put it right next to a big notice thanking ConocoPhillips for its support. How freaking ironic is that?
Right.
Big toilet flush on that one, right?
Yeah.
The Willow complex is located in the National Petroleum Reserve, created many decades ago by people with foresight who knew that the smart decision in the moment was to save the oil so we would be able to see if we needed it later.
Hmm.
Well, I guess later has come. In 2023, the best and highest use of that oil is clearly to keep it in the ground. If we don't reserve that oil, instead we spill it into the air, we will pay a huge price. Alaska will pay more price than most, though some of those same politicians do their bipartisan best to make all Americans share the cost of the damages. We can't keep doing this. This is clearly the place to stop. Deb Haaland and Joe Biden need to stand up to the pressure. Wow.
Do you think that's magical thinking?
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think and there's anything to stand up to. I mean, they're bound and determined to drill the hell out of, in this
Yeah.
Willow project. And the funny thing is the willow tree is such, a wonderful thing for the environment. It's so sad that it's called Willow.
I know. I
I
know.
know.
And look at where they are. See?
Yeah.
Look at that. All
See
of
that?
the
Oh my
pipelines and the
God.
different
Oh my
areas and all. It's they have acreage, they have discoveries, undrilled prospects, central processing facilities, and other prospects. And did I show this one yet? Isn't that ugly? That's
oh
just
my
so.
God.
It's just so ugly, and it's up there. These things are up there, and I'll tell you, Jennifer. They said that in one of them that they had the one of the deepest wells I think on the planet up in
Really?
Alaska. I mean, this has been going on in Alaska. And another thing about Alaska is that the residents of Alaska get money. And I was looking at the different payments, and I think it was almost $1,600 for each resident.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also when I was watching, and again, I will have the links in the show notes, when I was watching ConocoPhillips talk and the things they were presenting, and they were kind of like gaslighting the people and showing them, well, without us, you will have no tax benefits. Look at how
Mm,
much, look how much money we're
mm.
going to provide as opposed to not provide. So it is hard. I mean, I don't see it
No,
stopping. I don't see it
no.
stopping. And I mean, it's crazy to freeze the area so that they can drill, so that they can burn more. And people are even talking about the
Unbelievable.
carbon capture. So it's insane. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it really is.
Right. So this next one we're not going to read.
Okay.
Really, this was just to show you that we won something. Something good was done, and the federal appeals court rejected the oil and gas drilling and fracking in northwest New Mexico's Greater Chaco
Wow.
region, and they overturned the
Oh, really?
Biden administration. They
Good.
halted new drilling. They gave new hope for protection for the Navajo communities, culturally significant landscape. So I thought that we should just put that in. And I'm going to try this. I have a new applause, but I don't know if it's going to work now. Do I try? Do I dare try? I don't know. I'm afraid.
I say
I'm going to
try.
try it. Okay, I'll try. Let's
Right.
see if you guys can hear this, because I set up things today and I don't know if I just don't think they're
Nope.
couldn't hear it.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, then I know now that I can hear it. You can't hear it. And then I'll figure that out. See, that's what you're always doing with live streams is testing. So, all right,
Ooh.
Jen, we are going to then move on to this website I found. And I thought you might want to
Hmm.
tackle the numbers and just, we'll go over this before you
Yeah.
actually get into the real meat and potatoes
Yeah.
of the
Well,
Andrew Glickson.
this is actually a pretty cool graph. Do you have that where you can drag your mouse along and it has different values if you hit the line? You don't have to click on it.
All right, let me see.
Go down a little.
All right, is it working? Yep.
Yeah. Go
Can
down
you
a
see
little.
it?
Go
Yeah,
down a little.
I think I have to pull this
There
up.
we go.
Yep. All right, guys, let me see. Yep, you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jen, tell me
So
what to
what I
do.
really wanna so what I wanna do is hit, like, around 1965. That's right on the line of 320, and that's also the thing, 320 parts per million, so it's kind of like getting back, or I guess they say 350, right? So the beginning of this graph starts in 1958. This is the Mauna Loa, Keeling curve, right? So it starts in
Mm-hmm.
1958, 315. Get to 1965, it's right there on the line at 320. And then drag it up to the next point where it crosses the line, and that's 341. That's in 1982, right? So, well, 1981. Call it 1980. Let's just call it 1980.
Okay, call it 1980.
Call it 1980. So, from 1965 to 1980
Mm-hmm.
is what, 15 years? Is that right?
Mm,
If I got that right? So that's 15 years to cross that line. And then if you go up, Sandy, all the way to like 2015, that's when it crossed 400 parts per million. This is the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, right? So 400 parts per millions happened in 2015.
wow.
That's when the Paris
Wow.
Agreement was also signed. And then if you go to the top of the graph, we're in 2022, right? And that's at the top of the graph. We're just about 420 parts per million. So in 2023, it crosses,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess my
Mm,
point is that if you do the math, you're basically, it's right between 2015 and 2023, that's 8 years, right?
yeah.
So you can see that the graph is getting a lot steeper. It's taking a lot less time to go up a whole increment in that graph. That's the kind of long-winded way I'm,
No,
going
that's
about
good.
saying, you know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
steeper. That right there is the meaning of exponential. Exponential is
Okay.
anything with a curve, and that's a demonstration of that curve right
Ooh.
there. So look at the steepness in 1960 and look at the steepness in 2020, right? That tells a story right there.
Yeah, every picture tells a story, don't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
Every picture tells a story. All right. They did have
And that's the same one down below.
the same one as the
Mhm.
Acmas. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what they. All
That's
right.
it.
So that was it for this one. It's something we just found. So we have greenhouse gas
Mhm.
emissions in tons. And that is actually important when you think about these, the Willow project and how much all that transportation, also the maritime. ConocoPhillips owns air fleet and maritime, and they were talking about the just the sheer expenditures to get the
Yeah.
oil to burn the oil to burn
Ugh,
it. So
it's so
here's the gas.
ridiculous.
Yeah, by look at they have here the sectors, right? By gas, let's see what happens. By gas, emissions in tons. Oh
Amazing.
boy. And all the see the ones on the bottom, but carbon dioxide is definitely it takes the cake. It
Oh, it
does.
really does.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So this is an interesting it's an interesting site. And again, we've just
Mhm.
started with this one. And I pulled it up at the last minute and I just thought you guys would be interested in this one before we go on to the pièce de résistance that Jennifer is going to take, and that is Andrew
Hmm.
Glikson. And then
Andrew
you,
Dixon,
yeah,
a
and you
smart man if there ever was
hmm from the
one.
Arctic News. And let me make sure I have this. Okay.
Yeah.
And take it away and let me know what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
All right.
All right.
So, the Global Climate Change Suicide Pact. That's quite a title. This just came out in the Arctic News January 29th. Despite the deceptively claimed mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions in parts of the world, ongoing burning of domestic and exported fossil fuels worldwide continues to change the composition of the atmosphere, enriching it in greenhouse gases by yet another 2 parts per million of CO2, reaching levels commensurate with those in the Miocene, which was 23 million years ago or something, at rise rates exceeding any geologic record in the last 66 million years.
Oh boy.
So, congratulations, humans.
Yeah.
You did it.
I do have an applause. It's
Yeah,
the
you
old
did
one.
it.
It's the old applause.
Yeah, it's okay. So here we can see how quickly the CO2 is going up. This is a little bit. Oh, this is the global temperature departure from average. So this is an anomaly, the departure from average. So this is the temperature from 1880 to present day. And, what can you say? It looks like flame, looks like fire. That's what it looks
That's
like. I don't
wild.
see it going down. I see it going up. I don't know about you all, but I see it going up.
Well, yeah, and what goes up in this case is not what goes must will go down.
No,
No,
no. No, it's
I
just
don't think
going up.
so.
It's a
No.
one-way street.
All right, let
Since
me get back.
1880, mean global temperature rose at the rate of 0.08 C per decade. From 1981, by 0.18 C per decade, and more when emitted aerosols are accounted for. According to Will Steffen, Australia's leading climate scientist.
R.I.P. Will Steffen. He passed this week.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. A
it's
lot
really
of them are
sad.
going now, I've noticed that.
He was like 75, 72.
Mm, mm-mm. There was already a chance we have triggered and this is what Will Steffen said. So,
Mm-hmm.
quote Will Steffen, rip, rest in peace.
Yes.
There was already a chance we have triggered a global tipping cascade that would take us to a less habitable hothouse Earth climate, regardless of whether we had reduced emissions. And of course, that's the very horrible, uncomfortable, inconvenient truth is that we've probably already tripped it, and now we're just kind of watching it play
Mm,
out.
mm, mm, mm.
That's what he said, and I bet he's watching over us and saying, "I told you so."
Yeah.
Over a brief span of less than 2 centuries, anthropogenic reversal of the carbon cycle induced the emission of some 1.5 10 to the 12 tons of CO2. It's a
Whew.
very big number,
Whew.
whatever it is. And
Well,
an
we could click
increase,
on it.
not going to click on that one, and an increased release of 150% more methane, CH4, from the crust accumulated in sediments for hundreds of millions of years through photosynthesis and calcification, as well as from permafrost in oceans. Permeation of the atmosphere and the hydrosphere with toxic residues of ancient plants and organisms poisoning the biosphere is leading to the sixth mass extinction of species in the history of nature. Following failed attempt to deny climate science, vested business and political interests are proceeding with the support of many governments to mine coal, sink oil wells, and frack hydrocarbon gas, regardless of the consequences in terms of global heating, sea level rise, inundation of islands and
There you
coastal
go.
zones, collapse of the permafrost, heat waves, floods, ocean acidification, migration of climate zones, and dissemination of plastic particles, rendering
Whew.
the future of much of the biosphere uninhabitable.
Jeez. That was a list.
Yeah. In other words, WASF. The progression of global warming is unlikely to be linear. That is like what we've been saying, it's exponential. As the flow of cold ice water melt from Greenland and Antarctica glaciers would cool parts of the ocean in parts of the in parts of the continent. So we'll take a look at this picture in a minute. But basically, if you look at that little picture right below, there's a big purple thing of abnormally cool water right below Greenland, just south of Greenland, and a big purple thing of abnormally cool water just north of Antarctica, hugging the coast. Easy to see why that is there, right?
Mm.
So it would cool parts of the ocean and parts of the continents, leading towards a stadial type of phenomena, the classic case of which is symbolized by the Younger Dryas cool period, which was 12,900 years ago to 11,700 years ago. And that is actually a period that I'd really like to talk about,
Okay.
maybe just a little bit. I think I'll come back to that. Let me get
Okay.
through these last two paragraphs and then we can talk about the Younger Dryas.
Sounds like a plan.
National, good, good, good. National and international legal systems appear unable to restrict the saturation of the atmosphere with greenhouse gases as governments preside over the worst calamity in natural history since the demise of
Mm.
the dinosaurs. I
Mm.
mean, really.
Mm.
Facing heat waves, fires, floods, and sea level rise, those responsible may in part remain oblivious to the magnitude of consequences, waking up when it is too late. There was a time when leaders fell on their sword when defeated in battle or lose their core beliefs. Nowadays, most not even resign their privileged positions to resist the existential danger posed to advanced life, including human civilization, preoccupied as nations are with preparations for nuclear wars. That's a very sad article. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a very real article, but
It's
it
a very
basically,
real
guys,
article.
listen to what it says. I mean, it says that we have tripped the tipping point, which kind of means, guys, we're off a cliff and we're in the process of either
So
falling or rolling down the hill, whichever you want to say. But in any case, once you've kind of fallen off that cliff, it's real hard to get up on top of that plateau that you fell off of again. So, the last 10,000 years has been dead steady as far as climate. And now things are changing, and they're changing really, really fast. And they're changing faster than any time since the dinosaurs. That's what it says. So I'd actually like to talk a little bit about the Younger Dryas and what that was all about, because that was actually in well, not recent memory for us as humans, but relatively speaking, only 12, 13,000 years ago, which is the end of the last ice age. And there is evidence that there was a cometary, like a comet that went by and it fragmented in the atmosphere. And lots of it, shards of it ended up across northern Canada, Greenland. You can see these shards of the comet that hit different places in Earth. But it did cause a significant cooling period for about 1,200 years, from
wow.
11,900 BC when it started, when it hit, to 12,900 to 11,700. That's 1,200 years between those two figures.
Mm.
So for a period of 1,200 years, the Earth cooled significantly, but it was accompanied by a major extinction that happened around the end of the last ice age, and major fauna in all the ice age giants consequently died during that time, and they died very quickly. And there was a massive, massive biosphere disruption when that comet shard, and we may have entered like a belt or something where the comet was
Wow.
like hitting repeatedly, but it happened 12,900 years ago. That's basically it. These shards of comet that were just like pelting the earth. And since we were in an ice age, right? Most of the craters were in the ice and they didn't happen, right? So you can't really see too much of it. But there was a major crater that was discovered in Greenland, but I'm not sure if it's related. But in any case, I think it's fascinating, really, Sandy, to put it all together and to understand how these other impacts that we generally don't think of, like comet strikes. Well, the comet, it was a meteor that got the dinosaurs,
Right?
55 million years ago. And then
Yes.
this Younger Dryas comet was actually a different type of celestial object.
It's
But
fascinating, Jennifer.
both of them caused huge changes and extinctions in their own right. So
Wow.
I think that is why throughout time, the memory is embedded into the human psyche of these big comets. And you can see, if you've ever studied Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, right? That is the oldest archaeological site on Earth, and it goes back to 12,000 years ago, right? That was recent time. That was post comet when they created Göbekli Tepe, and you see engravings of the comet on these pillars that were carved 12,000 years ago, Sandy. Think of that. So, that's why
Wow.
comets are like portents of evil. There's a reason that that's embedded in the human psyche. So I just thought it was interesting to bring that up.
Very interesting. It's a whole, I mean, we've talked about it before, but it's a whole show in itself. And to really talk about these periods of time. It's fascinating, Jen. It is. Wow.
Mm,
Wow. So I think and the hour has flown by. It has
yes.
absolutely flown by. Let's just see what's going on in the chat a little bit. And how you guys doing out there? You doing good? Uh let's see. Hi Di Louise. Yes, nice to see you. Um Anybody have anything? Let's see. Singing Way. The fragmented tail of a comet, like nuclear bombs, it made a nuclear winter for 1,000 years.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's
Exactly the same principle. Thank you very much,
Oh,
Elaine.
yeah, she's
Good comment.
awesome. Yes. Um, let's see. Gary has some interview suggestions, and I'll tell you what, guys. I think this was a good show, and I see that you've had tons of comments. I don't. I really. It's gone by so fast, so I really can't. Let's see.
Hmm.
Paul just said he said 11,500 is half a Milankovitch cycle of
Mhm.
23,000 years, but that's going back. And then Jevons paradox, and you've all had a really good chat. I unfortunately I wasn't able to do much with the chat tonight because there was a lot to do with the show itself. And Jennifer, would you like to give the evening?
Well, in spite of all the evidence and the knowledge, humanity is just bound and determined. Willow oil drilling project, center stage as an example. And yet we have all these fine thinkers that are telling us exactly
All these
what's
fine
going on.
thinkers.
But we shouldn't say we because I don't really group us in that category. But I would say that industrial complex chooses to squelch that information because it's inconvenient for their bottom line, and they would rather destroy the earth than lose money, which
It's
that doesn't
crazy.
work.
Lose money, and it's all about, but it's a denial
It's
mechanism. I
total
mean,
denial.
these guys, these oil company executives, no matter what, they pay lip service to the environmental impacts. They pay lip service to the whole CO2 question, but I honestly think that they just are in denial for whatever reason, because it's of money or of emotions, whatever. They're swept up in an industry. I read there are 9,000 jobs in the industry, and they said 80% of these jobs are with Alaskans. Yes, they're contractors, but they're Alaskans. So the financial incentives are huge. And
They're
of
huge.
course, the gas prices that all United States citizens feel all over is a big driving force because, well, Biden didn't look good. Everybody was mad at him. And so, they're just, I don't see these things ending, Jennifer. Do you? No
No,
matter who the
because
hell is
we
in the
are,
White House.
as a species, I mean, I would have to say that we're probably of that category. Who knows how many other planets in the universe are populated? Maybe it's a thing that happens
Yeah,
and a
well, I'm going
species
to.
gets to a certain point and they discover all this great stuff and then they just end up going,
I'm
you
flushing that
know,
one. I've got a new flush. Oh my God. The sound wasn't playing. This is something different. The software updated, okay? And usually when you turn the movie off, I am so sorry guys. You turn the movie off, the sound goes right back on. And they updated and they did some nice things to fix, and Oh my gosh. It's not our fault. I'm going to have to put in a ticket with Ecamm Live because that shouldn't have happened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Everybody's saying no sound now because
Are we
there's
muted
no, we're
still?
not. No, we're not muted now. We have a lag.
Oh,
And this is, again, I want to tell everybody, it's the new software. So I will have to figure out why this is happening because it shouldn't. Right? I mean, when you play something like I'm going to test it. I'm going to do it again. Hang on one second. Let me see. It
what?
should have unmuted itself automatically and it did not. So
Okay.
I
So you
know.
have to manually.
I
Yeah.
know. All right. Well, yeah. Cool flush, though. All right, guys. We are going over and out until the next time, Jennifer. I love you. I do. I do. I do. All right, guys. Mwah.